Hello, everyone. I'm coming today to do a quick review on our trip to Dominican Republic. We went to, I guess it's the Cap Cana area, aka Punta Cana. We stayed at the Secrets Cap Cana, and I just wanted to review our experience as far as our trip getting there and the experience we had at the Secrets Cap Cana. I know y'all see a lot of videos that kind of highlight all the wonderful things about it, but this ain't one of those videos. I'm gonna tell you the things that we experienced there, and you just take it for what it is. And your experience may be different, so don't judge your experience by ours. But I do want to go over what we went through just so you can have a heads up of some things that you may expect when you get there. So we went over the Labor Day weekend. We left Friday and came back Monday. So when we left Friday, we got there probably like maybe 2:30, 3 o'clock. The airport, everything was fine. We got through the airport smoothly. And I want to say that we did set this up through Delta Vacations, which set up the flight, the hotel, and the transportation to and from the resort. So me and my wife went there. Like I said, we went through the airport. We went to locate where our ride was to take us to the hotel. We probably took us like 5 minutes to locate them. We talked to them. Then, even though we had everything arranged, they knew what time we were going to be there. They took about maybe 15 to 20 minutes. We sat there and waited for our ride to come. But when we got there, we got in the van and probably took maybe 20 to 30 minutes to get to the resort. We got to the resort, the front area, they were very polite and they offered us a drink. I don't drink. They didn't have a lot of options for me. They had different little juices, but they didn't have the juice that I wanted. But it was no big deal. But then they took us in to get signed in. We were on the preferred side. What we paid for is a preferred bungalow, and it was ocean view, and it had a swim out pool. So that's what we paid for, and it was almost $4,000 for the time we spent there. Now, that's for flight, hotel, and transportation. The process was of getting our room was fine. Went in there, filled out any paperwork we needed to, put a card on file, and that was fine. Then they introduced us to our butler, and with the preferred side, you get a butler that's supposed to help and tend to everything that you do there. So we met him, and this is where the problem started for me. And we met him. His name was Alexis. We introduced ourselves. He introduced himself. Then he started taking us to show us to our room, and he was talking about the different places here. So as we were walking, I noticed that he was more focused on his phone than showing us attention and telling us what we need to know. And he walked us all the way to the room. And once he walked us to our room, they said they were going to bring the baggage in 5 minutes. So he gave us his number, and I sent him a text so he can have my number. And then he left, and then our bags came probably about maybe 15 minutes later. And at that time, it was getting winding down and stuff like that. We waited on him to get the bag so we can go run and get something to eat. Place was right next door to where we stayed in our bungalow. We went there, the food was fine. I just kept it simple. I had a hamburger. So after that, we went back to the room and chilled out for a minute. The room was, it's a nice room. little dated on the decor. Only issues, there were some few issues, but the chain on the door was broken, and the trash can we only had one trash can. It was a small trash can, and that was in the bathroom. I feel that it probably could have had more than one garbage can, but that's no big deal. Everything else with the room was okay. I would advise to keep the doors closed because mosquitoes, I seen they were coming in and flies flew in. But other than that, they gave you drinks and water in the refrigerator, just the usual. I guess they had some type of beer, sodas, water. They gave you a couple snacks, a can of Pringles, and two candy bars they had up top in case you get hungry. With that, we asked if you, person like me, I like to iron. Probably have to ask for an ironing board and iron. And so we sat around and we tried to figure out what we are going to eat. And while we sat around, another thing I want to mention is the air conditioner. We couldn't figure that out and get the temperature down. It was freezing in there. But we decided to go to a seafood place. And by that time down there, the sun goes down. At that time, it was 6:30 when the sun went down. And when we went to go get something to eat, I'm going to let you know that it's very dark out there, very few lights. So, thus being our first time being there and not knowing what's what, it was hard to navigate to try to find the restaurant we was looking for. Now, keep in mind, at this point, we haven't heard from the butler at all at that point from when we got there to that night. So we eventually found a restaurant. Let's see, what was it called? Seaside Grill. When we got there, we had to wait a little bit, so they gave us a little coaster, little thing that buzzed. We got that. We went to, I guess, a bar they had nearby, and got like a little frozen non-alcoholic drink. And then the buzzer went off. We went to the restaurant. Got to the restaurant. They sat us. We sat there. Then about 20 minutes passed by. So me and my wife wondering, okay, is anybody gonna come serve us? Eventually, some guy came up, sweating like he was on trial, asking us for our drink orders, and then we gave him our food orders. So after we did our order, they brought the food and everything. I guess since it was, I don't know if we were close to. I'm not gonna make excuses for them. Maybe it was close to closing, or somebody just can't cook. Everything that they brought was overcooked and dried out. So we sat there for a minute, picking through it, and we was like, "Yeah, we're not gonna eat this." So we just got up and left and went back to the room and ordered room service. Room service was average. Man, it could have been a little better, but it gave us nourishment for the night. That was the end of that Friday night. Saturday, we woke up, got a text from the butler. He said good morning, sent some little flyer with different stuff that the resort is doing. After that, we got up and we did breakfast at, I think it's called Market Cafe. Breakfast was, it was a buffet, so it is what it is. A lot of stuff was there was overcooked and under seasoned, and some of them looked like it might have been old, but not for sure about that. But I guess we should have went to a one of the restaurants to do breakfast a la carte. But this right here, it to me it wasn't good in my opinion. So we did that. After we did that, we decided to. I don't know if we went back to the room for a minute, but we did that. No, we went to the. Yeah, it doesn't matter, but went to the store, and then after that, we eventually decided to go find out about the excursions. So we headed up to the front area, and by this time, we still, other than the good morning, we haven't heard from a butler asking us anything, checking on us, seeing if we need anything or do we need to go anywhere or whatever. We headed up there to find out about the excursions, and we got sidetracked by someone from, I guess it's called Universal Vacations, one of the people that I guess sells. Very nice guy, but like I told my wife, he's a salesman, so he's gonna be nice. But he tried to persuade us to set up an appointment just to hear him out. But we also told him about the issues we were having because we didn't hear from our butler and stuff like that, and how our experience was with the restaurant. So he did speak with our butler as well as the restaurant and tried to address. It was helpful to try to address anything that we had an issue with, but we decided to set up a meeting with him anyway to do the little. I guess it's like a 90-minute presentation, and I guess they offered my wife a spa treatment, even though we were gonna already sign her up for that. They were gonna give one to both of us, but not a big massage person, so I didn't sign up for that. But after that, we talked to the excursion guy who was actually who we were supposed to be talking to, and set up the ATV ride that we wanted to do the next day. So after that, he brought the butler over. We talked to him, told him about our issue with dinner and how it's cold in the room. And then after that, we went to the store that they have on property just to get some clothes to wear to the excursion because the excursion we did, we signed up instead of doing it the next day, we did it that same day. So we had an hour to go get dressed and come back up to the front. So we went in there to find just some shirts to wear in their store. The store is, I'm gonna tell you now, is ridiculously priced. My wife bought a few shirts and we bought some sunscreen and some insect repellent. Insect repellent was $30. And the sunscreen was $36. A lot of the stuff there, make sure you just, if you can afford it, that's fine. But if not, be careful because they don't have any trial size stuff. So we had to waste it and leave it there because there's nothing we can do about it and get on the plane with it. So at that point, we went to the excursion and that was a whole different ordeal. Since that ain't got nothing to do with the hotel, I'm not going to talk much about that, but that was very unorganized. So if you do Bizarro Adventures, I'm going to let you know now ahead of time, it is very unorganized there. And then they try to sell you on a lot of stuff. You can't just go somewhere and just enjoy yourself without people trying to sell you stuff. But just be careful with excursions you pick. We got back and we saw the guy again. We told him we'll meet him tomorrow morning just to hear his presentation. And he said he spoke with our butler again. And then we went to the room. Now the butler knew we had a problem. He set up something in our room. I guess they went in our room because that morning they came early to clean, and I told them to come back later on. So at that point, before we was leaving for the excursion, they haven't returned. So while I was up there talking to the guy about the excursion, I told the butler that we need our room cleaned, so he was able to do that. And they did. But he tried to save face and put some rose petals on the bed that spelled out love and gave a couple of stale macaroons and chocolate on a plate in our room, which he tried. The effort was there, but he didn't address the air conditioner. And then also, he didn't get back with us and ask us about any dinner reservations or anything like that. So we had to figure that out. After that, I'm not going to get into all the great things about it. They did have a few restaurants, so I can't complain about that. We went to the Asian restaurant as well as the Italian restaurant. Those were good, but everything else I had wasn't good. After that night, I sent them a text thanking them for just the gesture of the rose petals on the bed and stuff like that. They eventually put a happy anniversary banner on our door. The next day, he texted again, said good morning. Didn't ask anything about what are we doing? Do I need to do anything? Can I set y'all with any reservation for breakfast or anything like that? So at the time, all right, fast forward Sunday morning, we got up. We was planning to go to the beach, but we had our appointment for that Universal Vacation things. It was at 10:15, so we were like, okay. They said they were going to give us breakfast and do the presentation, but we got up front in the lobby area, waited on the guy. By that time, it was 10:30. Then we went to another little room where he took us. Somebody came to the table to take over, and then they took us downstairs, but it was towards the end of breakfast, and they took us to the same place we went to the day prior, which the food was bad. And we were talking to the lady about our experience and telling her how we was dissatisfied on how we paid for an expectation and an experience and we're not receiving it. Different little things around the room we wasn't happy with. Our experience at the restaurant, our experience with the butler, which was a major thing for us because us paying for this, we expect you to do your job and you just leaving us hanging and not checking on us or anything like that. And another experience the previous day that I didn't mention, that my wife wanted a book and she didn't have one, so she asked, did it sell books? And the guy at the butler said no, they don't sell books, but they got some on the other side of the resort. So we asked them where at because we're not familiar with it. So my thing is, in my head, is you're going to take us and show us where the book's at. But he didn't do that. He tried to tell us where the books were, like we know the layout of the resort and where everything at. And he talking about some go down here, and if you ask this person and go to this area here, you'll see the books. And I'm looking at him like, what are you here for? He didn't show us the book, so we had a problem with that. And fast forward back to the vacation thing. So we were sitting at the table with the lady, and they don't never turn anybody away for the presentation or anything like that. They're gonna do their spiel and try to hook you in to their vacation package or whatever they're offering. We started telling her all these issues we're having, and we told her that we were going to sit into the presentation just because the guy that we talked to, his name was George, a very nice guy. So we said we'll hear him out, but we're letting you know in advance you got a large hill to climb because the experiences that we have right now, we really don't want to be here right now anymore. So after we told her this, she decided that she didn't want to do the presentation anymore. So we might be the first people in history that got out of the presentation by their choice and not our choice. So at that point, we were like, that's fine, but we was going to hear y'all out. If you feel that you're wasting your time, even though deep down they we were going to say no anyway, because we were not happy with what was going on. She walked us back to where we started at, and I guess we talked to the little reviewer or HR person to sign off on that we agreed to leave. Their little presentation. They still gave my wife the massage, which was nice, but it shows that they know they were in the wrong about a lot of stuff that they did, and she didn't even try, which was crazy to me, that she was willing to back out of it and not do the presentation. So we left there, decided to go on the beach. The beach was nice, had a little seaweed that washed up. It was starting to form at the edge of the coast, but the beach was nice, relaxing. They had a person out there serving drinks, and if you wanted food, was average, but the service was excellent by the lady that was out there helping us. By this time, it was close to my wife's massage was at 4. We stayed out there till 3 o'clock. By this time, we heard nothing from the butler, and I guess we contacted him to see if he could make us a reservation. He did do that, but other than that, we didn't hear from him otherwise. And I guess I just our experience has just wowed me. I guess if without him in the equation, it would have been okay. But all the things that he did, the nail in the coffin was Sunday. He did come after we got fussing and fussing. He did come to the door, smiling like nothing happened. Asked what time where we were going to leave on Monday morning. We said the van's going to meet us up front at 10:05. He said, "Good. I'll have someone here at 9:30 to get your bags, and y'all can just walk up front." So he wrote it in his little book tablet or whatever he had in his hand with his pen and stuff like that. Next morning, time to go. I told my wife she's supposed to be here at 9:30. Look at my clock. 9:30, 9:35, 9:35. I was like, let's roll. So we didn't hear from him. And me and my wife had to take our own bags all the way to the front. And the preferred section is a ways from the entrance. So it's like a 10-minute, 15-minute, 10 to 15-minute walk. And we're rolling 2 bags and 2 backpacks we had to the front. So we went into the office to check out. Guy said, "How'd you like your visit?" I said it wasn't good at all. And I'll probably never stay here again or probably even come to Dominican Republic again. After that, he didn't say anything. He didn't say I'm sorry or anything like that. So I was like, yeah. So we checked out, went to the front to wait on our van. I see our butler just standing over there to the side. Then eventually he gonna ease over there smiling. How y'all doing? And that's when I said, "What do you mean how we doing? Where were you this morning?" I was like, "You supposed to be there at 9:30. I expected you there at 9:30 to get our bags, but you got me and my wife carrying our own bags to the door. Matter of fact, you were non-existent the whole time we were here, which kind of poo-pooed our experience here because you didn't do your job." Then he had the nerve to say, "Why didn't you call me or text me?" That's not my job to call or text you to do your job. We have an expectation and you did not fulfill it. So he already knew that he wasn't getting no tip or anything like that. But that was our experience. Yours may be different. A lot of people I've seen a lot of videos before we went saying this was the greatest place ever and the food was the best ever and it's the number one spot. But to me, it killed my experience on Dominican Republic and going back there eventually. Definitely not going back to that hotel. And it got me weary of any secret hotels chain. So I don't know if all the Hyatts are like that, but I did not enjoy my experience with that one. And I just wanted to let people know what we experienced and what to look for. And if you're going to pay that much, because I told my wife, what we got, we could have paid for the regular side instead of the preferred side. Because I didn't feel that what we did was worth the $4,000 we paid. So just be careful and be aware of these things that I went over. Your experience may be different from ours. A lot of people be drunk, so they don't notice the little things, and just it is what it is. But it does have some nice things. But overall, my experience that dealing with the butler, it soured me on the whole thing because we didn't get what we paid for. But I thank you for listening, and uh, I hope your experience is different. If you go out there, just enjoy your time and just be aware of what's going on and get what you pay for. You have a good day, everyone.